Toss to White. He's in! Patriots win the Super Bowl!
Welcome to Patriots Touchback Podcast.
Good evening, everybody. We are here for the eulogy of what is a devastating affair. The New York Jets. Their season is officially over. Not only are they now sitting at 2-6, they're going to lose to one of the worst teams in football. They have beaten a record that has been around since the 1940s. 756-0 of a team that has scored over 20 points, has no turnovers in the game, and most critical of the lot, holding their opponents to 250 yards or less. Them motherfuckers have gone and done it, haven't they? Good evening, everybody. Welcome along to another edition here of the Patriots Touchback Podcast. It's me, your host, Carl. We have got a full crew with us tonight. We got Nick, we got DJ, we got Kieran, we got JD, we got Joe, because we are here. The New England Patriots get the W, our second win of the season, against the horrid, stinking, narcissistic-led New York Football Jets. Before we get cracking with the show, make sure you smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, tell all your friends, follow us on all our social media platforms, and follow us on the podcast on the Sports Social Network and on Spotify as well. And without further ado, let's introduce the panel. Gentlemen, good evening. How are we doing this evening?
Always good after beating the Jets. Always good. Can't complain.
All good.
Yeah.
Doing well. Enjoyed that very much the weekend.
I think we all personally did, because we were all wondering whether or not where we're going to get our second win from. Pressure was on us because we got labelled as soft by Drake Maye last week. After the Jaguars' loss in London, we were. There's no question about that. Going into this game, the Jets had a lot of pressure on them, and thanks, Nick. Just seen that in the private chat there. The Jets had a lot of pressure going into them. This should have been a cakewalk for them. They should have known. They should have won this game. But the New England Patriots showed fight, they showed passion, they showed tenacity. And even with Drake Maye going out of the game in the first quarter due to a disgusting helmet-to-helmet collision from a Jets linebacker, which had nothing to do with our poorest offensive line, shall we say, it ended in brilliant fashion. New England winning 25-22. Round of applause, please, for Jacoby Brissett coming in. And for the first time this season, looked like he can actually throw the ball down the field. Because that was the first time this season I've actually seen him do that. There were so many good plays, and we are going to get into the breakdown of the entirety of the game. But let's have your own all thoughts going through. Nick, we'll start with you. What was your personal take from this game?
I thought that ultimately, even though we needed that sort of last second win sort of thing, I felt on the grand scheme of things, we probably deserved it. I don't think, the Jets didn't do anything that screamed we deserved to win this game, and maybe we didn't do. Too much to say that we did, but I just think when you look at the key points, like Marcus Jones's, punt return for whatever it was, 60-odd yards.
62 yards.
At a key point in the game, I thought that was, quite a key play. There was that time when, the Jets were on the attack and we held them in the red zone, and they ended up kicking it rather than scoring a touchdown. And it's like those moments that the Pats defense showed up, or the Pats special team did some, I think across the board there was a much improvement based on what we saw last week.
DJ, what about you?
DJ.
More. Yeah.
Go on,
Yeah,
carry
go
on.
on.
He was muted. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was on mute. So yeah, I was just echoing what Nick was basically saying. Then I don't think both teams didn't really particularly go and like they wanted to win the game. It was more of a defensive battle back and forth. I think at the end of the day, we did that little bit extra to win the game. And like you said, Carl, there, props to Jacoby, the way he literally had to come in and finish that game off. And I particularly thought he played pretty well, given the opportunity he was given, all the circumstances he got thrown in there. So yeah, that was my views.
Kieran, what about you?
Well, first of all, like we all follow like football, soccer outside of the NFL, and I feel like the Jets are like West Ham every single year. Great history, but every time they get excited that they might be something, they just shit the bed. I mean, everyone going into this season, West Ham are going to qualify for Europe. The Jets are going to win the Super Bowl. What's happened? I think like they're genuinely just like one of these teams, and no matter how excited they may make you, they will ultimately end up letting you down. Which is great for us because we're having a terrible season and we still find a way to beat them, which is great. And it's one of them where we can almost have confidence that that's going to happen at least once a year, which is good. But yeah, I think that the biggest thing for me was like Drake Maye took an almighty risk by going publicly after the London game by calling the team soft, and that could have easily backfired. But I think he got the response he wanted, and the team played tough. We said on the podcast on Friday night that you just wanted a reaction. You wanted a reaction from the players, but you were presented with an opportunity not only to react to being called soft and having a 6-game losing streak, but also you got your rival team in front of you. You should want to beat them more than anybody else in the league. And I feel like the players really rose to the occasion, played tough, and got a win that we deserved. And the Jets didn't play terribly in this game, but ultimately we were better on the day, and that was great. We rose our level and gave us a little bit of hope going forward now.
It definitely does. Joe, I'll just take off mute. What's your take on this, bud?
Well, anytime we've come up against the Jets, it's the 2 games a year that you circle that you don't want to lose. And obviously we had the one earlier in the year, which was a disappointment, but boy, did it make up for it the weekend. And I think for me, anytime New York lose at any sport, whether that be the Jets, the Giants, the Yankees, who are 3-0 down, by the way, just fuck New York. I've no more to say on it. I hate New York.
JD, do you hate New York?
I don't think I have as strong a feeling towards New York as Joe, but I think it's probably hard to. I very much enjoy watching the Jets lose, and I probably put this game in more the category of the Jets losing than the Patriots winning, because that certainly seemed to me like 2 teams that were trying their best to lose a game. I can't believe we've not mentioned yet that just the way that the Jets mishandled the play clock. I've never ever seen anything like that at a professional level of a team burning all 3 timeouts in the first quarter, getting a delay of game on a 2-point conversion when they had a timeout. They had 2 timeouts left. They could have taken a timeout and gone for 2 from the just their usage and non-usage of timeouts was insane to me. Aaron Rodgers just gallantly just kind of walking to the line and very casually and calling out, green 30, and just when there's like 2 seconds left in the play, like, what are you doing? I don't know. It was absolutely mind-boggling to me the way the Jets managed that game. I thought I honestly don't think we played very well. I think our run defense wasn't much better. I just think for some reason Aaron Rodgers wanted to sling the ball. They were still averaging over 4 yards a carry, and they just decided to not run the ball, which I think, credit to the Jags last week. I think one of the things that you don't see very often in the NFL is a team just go, we'll do really, really so much better at you than at one thing, and we're just going to keep doing it. And I think if the Jets had just kept running the ball, they'd have probably beat us. And I just think Aaron Rodgers' hubris, I imagine, probably got in the way. And he just decided to try sling the ball around, and they didn't need to. And I just really struggled. I don't think anybody on the Jets, like you can point to anybody and say they played terribly. They just did so many dumb. I mean, apart from the kicker, Greg Zuerlein was woeful, but the rest of the team, I think we're all right. They just did dumb stuff constantly, and you got beat by Jacoby Brissett. Like,
I'm surprised. I'm surprised there's a helmet big enough to get on. Put Rodgers' head inside, because that guy has got such an attitude problem. And it just seems to be getting worse and worse and worse.
And you've only just noticed that?
No, I've known this for a long time. I think he's one of the biggest twats in football. But
they dare to compare him to Brady as well. Like, it's just.
But I think it's manageable when he's playing at an MVP level. Like, you don't care. Go and be a massive prick on the field. I give a shit if you're playing that great. Who cares?
He's a 40-year-old quarterback now. At some point, you've got to say, right, I can't throw the ball as what I used to. I'm not as maneuverable as what I used to be. You might still have the IQ of throwing the football, but this is now time to. You've now moved to a team now where you have to start putting the team ahead of yourself. And there are a number of examples you do. Brady's a prime example. Won 6 Super Bowls with us. Goes to Tampa Bay. Goes and wins a championship.
In Aaron Rodgers' conference.
In Aaron Rodgers' conference.
Just pointing that out.
It's just the way he's come across as well. Like, I'm pretty sure he's fired that head coach. He's wanted Adams there. So he's gone ahead and got Adams. He's got most of the players that he wanted in Green Bay with him as well. Lazard and someone else. It's just, I don't know. It's just not. And they haven't won a game since, so...
I think, Carl, you mentioned that Brady goes to Tampa and wins. I think Brady, I know there's been some stuff of that with Baker Mayfield making comments about it, but Brady went to Tampa and brought a culture. You've seen what Aaron Rodgers has brought to New York, and you have Sauce Gardner, who is, if not one of the best corners in the league, playing like crap right now.
Yeah, he's getting burnt.
He got skinned by Butte twice. And Butte is a fine receiver, but he's nowhere near Sauce Gardner's level. Like, that shouldn't be locked down all day. But I just think you're seeing a team that just doesn't want to play. I've not seen a team look as disinterested in winning a game. And the stats you get being in Carl, like that, they should have won that game going away. And how they didn't is mind-boggling.
All the talk about the Jets fan base turning around and saying, all we need is a quarterback and we're going to be Super Bowl bound. Well, you got your QB, you got a supposedly Hall of Fame QB, and you're worse now than what you was last year with Zach Wilson. How's that working out for you? Go on, Kieran, floor yours.
Yeah, it's an odd one because I don't think Rodgers is necessarily throwing the ball that badly. I just think, yes, there's a lack of mobility there, but he's still accurate. Like, I think it is a culture issue, and I think that comes from the top down. Woody Johnson is a very questionable owner. They've made some ridiculous decisions over the years, and I even think like firing Robert Saleh. Like, what has that done for you? You've just regressed now and put.
Do you want to stat quickly?
Go on.
So the first 5 weeks, the Jets were giving up on average 17 points a game on the defensive side of the ball. Since he got fired, in their last 3 games, they're giving up on average 28.3 points per game. Yeah, figure it out.
Yeah, and I don't know. They've gone all in this last 2 years. Now, last year, bit of a write-off. Rodgers snapped his Achilles after 4 plays or whatever, but they've gone all in this year. They've acquired Devontae Adams. They had a big off-season. And they've got worse. And now you have no contingency plan going forward. You're burning your draft capital with these trades. You've got players on big money. You've just basically relented to Hassan Reddick, who is one of the biggest knob jockeys in the NFL. and now what happens if Rodgers just decides he's done? Like, I just can't be bothered to play because we're not going to be a contender. Where is the plan going forward? You've got nothing. Tyrod Taylor's your backup. He's old as well. Like, what are you going to do? I genuinely, I mean, it's great for us again because the Jets just find a way to crash and burn every single year, and it's a culture issue. It's got to be because there are some teams that will have bad years, but then they will pick up and they'll start to get themselves around. Just look at the Lions now. Look at the culture that Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes have built in that environment in Detroit now, and they look like a very good team that could win the Super Bowl. But like, there are terrible environments in the NFL, like the Jets, the Browns, maybe the Jags, who are just year upon year. They might have the odd good year every now and then, but mostly they're terrible every single year, and that's got to come from the top down.
Fish rots from the head down. That's the perfect metaphor to use for any sports club or any sports franchise. If it's not working, then it starts at the top, as you say.
I just want to point out, Kieran, the Browns are no longer toxic anymore because they've got rid of Deshaun Watson. They've got Father Jameis at QB now.
I was actually really pleased to see Jameis like have that monster game. Like
he's the most unintentionally funny person I've ever seen in my life. I can't tell if he's serious or if he's just doesn't know he's amazing.
His one this week, JD. Did you see the one this week when he's doing the pre-game speech? Well, we're playing for the name on the helmet. Well, we haven't got anything on ours, but still, take for the Browns.
Just thanking his offensive line, thanking Jesus, thanking Eminem. Like it was bizarre, man. The man's a walking meme. He's just amazing.
Yeah, no, he is great. He's a great character. He's a character that you need. And like I was saying, maybe like he'd have been good to have as a bridge QB here instead of Jacoby. But like, yeah, no, I was really pleased with that in particular because I absolutely loathe Lamar Jackson. That guy can piss off. Like genuinely, like for me, he's the biggest fraud in the NFL. And like, I can't bear him. So I was really pleased to see the Browns upset the Ravens.
That's a strong shout.
That is a very strong shout. That was a very strong shout considering that we were in line to actually take him in 2000.
Yeah,
I think
you know what?
But we did
now,
Michelle, didn't we? So he's
the
Super Bowl.
I'll say this now live on a podcast. The Ravens will not win a Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson because that guy, if he didn't have any athleticism, would be one of the worst passers in the league. Everyone last week, Lamar threw 5 touchdown passes last week, all to wide open guys. He cannot make a tight window throw. He is very, very overrated.
And they just drafted someone as well to help him out. Pretty sure I saw it.
Deontay Johnson.
Trade.
Another receiver that he'll overthrow or won't get the ball to. Honestly, I can't stand his personality either. Genuinely, I loathe him.
Okay. Time out. We're getting distracted. We're getting distracted.
We don't play the Ravens this year.
We don't play the Ravens this year. We're not here to talk about the Ravens. We're here to talk about New England.
Yeah, we've got to restart. I'm sorry for taking us off track.
You just took us off. This is a part of apology for everyone. Just celebrate a win. Yeah. Apologies for anyone that's listening on the audio where you haven't listened just to an NFL show. We are still listening to a Patriots show, but we are. Let's get back on script, shall we, gentlemen? JD. So obviously you clutched on the fact that the Jets burned all 3 of their timeouts in the first quarter, which I have never seen criminal malpractice like that in my entire. I've been watching the NFL since 2008, and I have never ever seen any team burn three timeouts in not just in one quarter, but in the first quarter. That is completely and utterly unheard of.
Yeah, just like I said, just absolute like malpractice on the part of the Jets coaching staff, and I don't know. We've already kind of touched on it. I don't think the Patriots played particularly well. I think I thought that was Drake Maye's best he's looked, and it was very limited. I mean, his PFF grade was like in the 90s. It was
95, 97, I think it was.
Now 92.6, I think it was, or something like that. 93.6 offensive grade, which is obviously insanely high, and the highest certainly we've seen from a QB Patriots uniform this year. But I thought he looked great. I thought he read the field really well. I thought he was 3 of 6 with 2 drops. So he really only had 1 genuine incompletion. And that throw to Tyquan Thornton, it made me want to cry that Tyquan dropped that because that was such a lovely throw. Just that to me was one of the things that we spoke about wanting to see stuff out of Drake Maye, that seeing him throw the ball like that and being able to make a play like that on the move, that got me out of my seat and got me quite excited at that. I wasn't so excited by Butte and Bourne's little alligator arms they got when contact was nearby, but yeah, I thought the receivers kind of let Drake Maye down in key spots, but he kind of put the team in his back and manipulated the pocket well and scrambled really well as well.
No, he did. Obviously, Drake Maye took the hit from a Jets linebacker in concussion protocol. Probably the chance that he will not play against Tennessee this coming Sunday, but you never know. He might recover quickly enough to play, but it's probably a bit too risky. We'll preview the Tennessee game later on in the show. Let's go for some more key points, shall we? The receivers. As much as we could say we're happy with the win, what I was not happy when I was watching that game was the ungodly amount of drops by our receivers. I mean, they must have gone to a girl. I mean, they must have gone to a lesbian school because they couldn't handle balls that day. It was awful.
I will say. I
was not expecting that.
We are so getting sacked.
Sponsorship.
Right, compose yourself. Right, I will say I said this on Friday with Kieran and DJ. You know, I would stick those wide receivers in a batting cage. I'd put a jugs machine in front of them, and I'd fire a ball at them, and I'd fire 300 balls at each of them, and I'd say, "You're not coming out of this cage until you can catch every single one." And I'd be firing them at all different speeds, at all different angles, and I just would not let them out the batting cage until they caught them all. And if they were in there for 12 hours, they're in there for 12 hours. You know, At some point, it's like a golfer with the yips, right? At some point, he's going to get over it. Something's just going to click, and he's going to get over it. So I'd just keep firing balls at them until eventually they catch him.
I really don't know what's going on. I mean, like you say, a fundamental part of a wide receiver is to catch balls. If you can't do that, then what's going on? And then
especially when the ball is well thrown as well, DJ. Like
it's perfect. It's right there. All you literally have to do is this. But then we were complaining about Polk not being able to catch balls. It just seems to be everyone. Bourne, even Hunter Henry was having a couple of nightmares as well. It's just across the board. It's just not. They're not. The chemistry's not there yet.
Kendrick Bourne's currently on the trade block as we currently states. He's got one more game to show, but he can do this. Otherwise, we ain't trading him at all. He needs to start, catching and maybe getting touchdowns because everyone had a massive problem. Even Butte had problems, but he made 2 significant catches, which obviously it put us in scoring range. Particularly on the second one, which was a beautiful throw by Jacoby. 3rd and 10, as you already said to JD, to Sauce to Butte and Sauce Gardner was covering him. You don't see Sauce Gardner making errors like that, do you? Especially not even to a wide receiver. He's not even a wide receiver 3. He's a wide receiver 4 at best.
He's our current wide receiver 1. He's led us in yards the last 3 weeks.
That says it all about our receiving call.
But he came out moaning saying that he wanted the ball more, and then he was getting the ball. He was dropping 2 or 3, and I was like, for fuck's sake, you asked for the ball, and now you can't convert, and then he comes up with these massive.
It's an alpha. I've seen a lot of people lose their minds over this, saying you're very arrogant, very disrespectful. I look at that more as alpha mentality. I want the ball. You throw the ball with me so many times, I will try and catch the ball. Okay, and I think that's what
you've got to have that mindset as a receiver. Like you have to.
It's called elite mind. It's called elite mindset. Nick should know he's a Man City fan. So
JD, I'm sure you'll agree. If we can get the LSU Butte on the field for us, then we've got something. Really
if we can get anything close, I think make a good play. He's obviously a wide receiver 1 right now, and he's probably the best we've got at the moment. I will stick up for Hunter Henry because somebody badmouthed him there, and I think he was phenomenal.
National Tight End Day.
I think he was brilliant. He saved us. If that, I would like very much to talk about the final play where we won the game, where Michael Onwenu and Jamondre Jones at the end just fall over and block nobody, and Hunter Henry and Sidney So pull around and Michael Jordan and save the day. So I think at the minute, for me, Hunter Henry is the only really reliable weapon. Pop seems to go missing quite a lot, whether we're just not drawing up plays for him or not. But I think Hunter Henry has been absolutely brilliant the past few weeks.
I think Henry and Maye have struck up some sort of I'm not saying they're Mahomes
Sure.
and Kelsey, but it seems to be that like Hunter Henry is that first choice for May to hit. He's going through his reads, but it's just like he's more comfortable throwing to Henry when Henry's covered than he is throwing to anybody else. And that's just reps and repetitions. So, I don't know, maybe that means Henry's got a bit longer at the, bit longer with the Patriots.
Well, he did.
I think the thing Hunter Henry's shown throughout his career is that he's always been a reliable target. He was the same when he was out in
Chargers.
With the Chargers. He's a big target, and he's always had good hands. He's always had good hands. He's okay in the run game blocking, but I think again you've seen that's what Hooper's coming to do for us this year.
The problem was with the Henry and the Chargers, he was consistently injury prone, and that was one of the worries when we picked him up. Goes, he's a great tight end, a great receiving tight end, but his injury history does scare me. But since he's been at New England, he has barely been injured at all. So, but he has. I kind of look at Hunter Henry as I kind of look at a tight end for a quarterback as their best friend, really. The safety valve, option you can go to.
It's supposed to bail him out. Yeah,
it's supposed to bail him out. Brady had lots of bailouts, but with Henry, he has been reliable. But none of our receivers are to actually try and catch the ball. I think Pop Douglas is better when he plays under Drake Maye, not under Jacoby Brissett. If I'm going to be all due honesty, but yeah, I am sick to the back teeth of Tyquan Thornton. I am sick to the back teeth. He made one good play on a 3rd and 9, which I give him credit for, but the rest of the times he got targeted, he kept dropping and dropping and dropping. I'm like, oh my good grief.
Yeah, I don't even know why he's on the roster at this point. I mean, even this is just the most silly thing in the world, but even the fact he wears a child-sized jersey annoys me. It's just everyone else has got a full-size nameplate, and he has one that's squashed in with little letters. Like that guy has done absolutely nothing for us, and it's just at the point where why are we still bothering? Trade him to the Rhine Fire for some Reese's Pieces, because genuinely he's not doing anything for the team. At this rate, we've got to go into next season. We all know that we'll add at receiver, but realistically, going into 2025, the only 4 receivers we should really have on the roster before we add to it are Polk, Baker, Booty, and Douglas. Osborne's going to be one and done. Get rid of Tyquan. I think Bourne will end up getting traded anyway, or cut in the off-season. They're the 4 you go into next season with. And it's at the point where I know that they're criticising Javon Baker for things he missed the curfew in London, supposedly, and he's struggling to line up in the right positions, but the guy has talent, and it's at the point where I'd rather roll him out there than Tyquan Thornton, even if he can't quite do 1 or 2 things, knowing that he could pull off an explosive play at any point, than Tyquan, who can line up, played in the league for 3 years, but has done absolutely nothing whenever he's been given the opportunity. So I'd like to see more of Javon Baker, and we need to get Tyquan off this roster because he is just a wasted uniform.
I think even if it's just a package you can design, because I understand why with a rookie QB, you're reticent to play somebody who maybe doesn't know what they're doing at every given play. I can see that, and that makes sense. But even if you design a package, something where a handful of plays where he knows exactly what he needs to be doing, a lot of teams have done with that. DK Metcalf's a good example, where he had a very limited route tree coming out. He wasn't great at nuanced things. So you design a package of not saying it's DK Metcalf, obviously, but he runs, goes, and slants, and that is it. And he always lines up at wide left or something like that. I think that would be really useful for someone like him, just because we don't have that explosion of offense right now.
I think you need to see what Javon Baker can actually do. Okay, it's straightforward. Too many receivers are dropping the ball. It's not consistent enough, and you need good repetition with your quarterback. It's a bloody good job. We don't have an arrogant sod I don't know, Aaron Rodgers, for prime example. You drop one pass, guess what? He doesn't throw to you again for the rest of the game. So if we kept on dropping our passes, what's he going to do? He's going to just toss it to the running back all the time. At some point, they've got to try and Yeah, no, they've got to try and work something out here. Javon Baker, he has to play. I probably would say don't play him until Drake Maye's back, which probably won't be until 2 weeks' time against Miami, if I'm not mistaken. That'll be a good test for him. Let's see how you can throw the deep ball and that sort of thing, which we've already seen Drake Maye make deep ball throws already, and we know that he can put it into the breadbasket of the receiver. We've seen it already. But
yeah, we don't need Javon Baker to play like 50, 60, 70% of the snaps.
No.
Even if he only gets like 15, 20 snaps and they want to ease him in because of the off-field problems and the lining up things, if they give him just a handful of snaps, give him a couple of targets, see what he can do. Like, genuinely, we know the guy's talented. In training camp, he was absolutely dusting our defensive backs consistently, day upon day. The guy is talented. Like, yes, he's clearly got his issues, but like, I would rather take a gamble and give him a chance than Taekwon. And like Osborne, okay, he had the touchdown in London, but aside from that, he's done little to next to nothing. So I'd be looking ahead to next year now, and maybe trying to move a couple of guys on.
I think it's what JD said. It's finding that package, that simple package for Baker to fit into. It doesn't have to be explosive ones or anything like that. It's just to ease him in, getting some reps, and getting comfy with how May is with that offense. And like you say, I prefer to have Baker out there than Thornton at the moment. So maybe just ease him into Thornton's packages. I don't know, but that, like you say, I think it's the best option to kind of.
I mean, KJ Osborne has also been very well.
Yeah, he's been productive. Yeah,
he's not really. I wish you'd be sarcastic.
No. I thought he had that touchdown pass last week in London.
Well, yeah, and then he made the celebration of as in Corby, get me out of it. So if that was the case, then I will trade you back to Minnesota, and we'll take Jordan Jordan Addison off his hands, off their hands.
With Justin Jefferson.
Just finally on Kayshon Boutte as well. Like, yes, 2 bad drops early in the game, and when you come out and say like I want the ball and be alpha, as we've said, like you've got to back it up. But fair play to the guy, because his head easily gone down the drain after those 2 drops. He made 2 absolutely clutch plays at the end of the game. We don't win the game without those 2 plays. And one of them is an outstanding throw from Jacoby Brissett, because like he's practically getting leveled as that ball comes out. And I thought as the ball was getting released, this is never making it to Boutte. And it did. But like Boutte adjusted, he got off the line, lovely release, completely dusted Sauce Gardner. Like, yes, okay, there's going to be a couple of drops here and there. Still think, though, at this rate, put the ball in his hands and see what he can do. Because, okay, yes, the numbers aren't, like, ridiculous. Like we've seen from some receivers like Brian Thomas and even McConkey this week, like from some young guys. But, like, he's still been our leading receiver the last 3 games, and he seems to be effective as an X receiver on the outside, particularly with the deep ball. So I'd just keep feeding him the ball and see what he can do.
Definitely.
I felt that Jacoby deserves some credit this week, actually, because
100%.
we sat there the other week. Oh, it's time for May. It's time for May. I don't mind saying I didn't want to bring May in for his safety, but we did. Fair enough, but Jacoby came in, and for the claims that he wasn't moving the ball down the field, he couldn't move the ball down the field, he couldn't hit the wide receivers. He really came up and played, and stood up and was counted for what he needed to be. So, if you're gonna call him out when he's not doing it right, then when he does something like that, he deserves the credit, So I thought he did really well to come in, for any QB, whether it be Joe Bloggs or Jacoby Brissett. If you're coming in halfway through a game, you've got to adjust to the pace, you've got to adjust to everything that's going on around you. It's not the easiest thing to do to be a backup QB, especially one that has to come in the game. So fair play to the guy. He did what needed to be done.
It was almost like, as well, he's seen Drake throw the ball down the field and thought, well, if Drake's doing it, I kind of have to do the same. But also coming in a situation late in the game where the game's winnable and you can't play conservative, you have no choice but to try and be aggressive at times. I think that probably factored into why he ended up coming in and doing so well. And yeah, he does deserve credit, because yeah, he led a couple of really good scoring drives, and and fair play to him to come in that situation against a team like the Jets. That's not easy, and he done well. And also Ramondre Stevenson, who's obviously had his injury problems, had his fumbling problems, was completely bottled up in London last week, and here he is smashing 2 in the end zone to win us the game, and catching a 2-point conversion as well. So these are 2 guys that have had rough weeks that have stepped up big time.
He didn't get much yardage, though. I will say this: Ramondre didn't get as much yardage, but it was basically him being in the red zone and getting the touchdowns. Basically, that was absolutely critical for him.
I mean, he had 48 yards, but he had 59 yards after contact. So I think that gives you a good idea of the quality of our run blocking in the game.
I will say this: looking at the offensive line, it's the second week in a row now. We've now got 2 weeks in a row now. We've had the same offensive line actually play. I tell you what, Ben Brown. The Raiders must be absolutely booting themselves in the backside right now, because he's had 2 games. He's played 2 games for us so far. 2, maybe 3 games for us so far. 3 games, and Ben Brown has been absolutely fantastic, playing as the backup center. He hasn't really done a lot wrong, in my own personal opinion. But I think the main person to shout out for is Michael Jordan. What has happened to him over the last 2 weeks or so has been absolutely phenomenal. And he was he was the guard that pulled to get Ramondre Stevenson in on that final play to get him for a touchdown to take the lead. This offensive line, we've mocked it so much about how bad it is. We still think it's bad, but maybe it's not as bad as we thought it might be. Vidarian Lowe had a good game. Mike Onwenu, a little bit hit and miss, but it seemed like the line is starting to gel a little bit, and that's kind of what you need, especially when you've got a rookie QB under center.
Yeah, they've rather frustratingly gone in opposite directions with pass blocking and run blocking. Pass protection seems to have increased, and that seems to have got better. I think Drake is a decent part of that, but their run blocking has been terrible. I think Ben Brown's played really well the last few weeks, but I think he really struggled against Quinnen Williams on Sunday, which is no mean feat. I mean, Quinnen Williams is a heck of a player. I think Mike Onwenu is the big disappointment for me. I think his pass blocking has been all right. It's been pretty good, but he has really struggled in the run game, even at guard. I don't know whether that's got to do with his consistency of being at tackle, but 1 week in guard, the other week, because they're very different positions in how quickly somebody's on top of you and things like that. So but he's been a source of disappointment for me as Mike Onwenu. But I think Michael Jordan has been a heck of a lot better than I thought he was going to be coming into the season.
Well, also Cade Wallace is still on injured reserve currently, so it doesn't help the matters where Michael Onwenu cannot play his proper position at right guard. He now has to switch to right tackle, which he was at
right guard on Sunday.
Oh, was at right guard on Sunday.
Yeah, he was right. He's been back at guard the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think just going back to Ben Brown, he's given up a couple of sacks already in the last couple of games, but I think there's some context of who he's been playing against. Like you mentioned, JD, Quinnen Williams, he's had Trayvon Walker, Eric Armstead, Josh Hines-Allen. He's been going up against some absolute monsters. So you can forgive him for giving up a sack here and there, but I think overall he's been okay. And yeah, Jordan's been solid. I think that says a lot about Jordan that, we were all pretty, certain that City So was going to be probably locked in to start for most games this year and going forward. And he can't get in the lineup apart from as a fullback at the moment because Michael Jordan is playing well enough at guard. So I just think, for me, the line now, that was the second time that line have played together. I still think right tackle is a bit of an issue. I think we're just getting by with Lowe, Jordan, Ben Brown, and Wenu, but Jamontre Jacobs is a bit of an issue still. And I just wonder whether Caden Wallace, when he potentially comes back, if he is going to come back this season, I don't know, or whether we look at another right tackle option, because I still think that's the weak link on the line. But the others have stepped up massively, and I think particularly that left side. We all buried Vidarian Lowe earlier in the season, but genuinely, as much as he's not fantastic, he's doing a job at the moment, and fair play to him.
Nick, what's your thoughts on the offensive line? Because you've been very, very vocal most of all of this season.
I When he has played, he's been having good games. He's been having okay games. I think there's a future in Layden Robinson. I think he needs more time to. I don't think he's a starter yet, but I think he's got the potential to be a good right guard. Excuse me. But I think I wouldn't have. I said this last year. I wouldn't have given Owenu a new deal. I think when you look at someone like Ronnie Stanley, who's going to be available in free agency, who, funnily enough, is at Kieran's favourite Baltimore. He could, if he can stay fit, he could be an amazing acquisition for left tackle. That means you could draft a new tackle, put that new tackle at right to learn the game before then in a year or two, switch Stanley out and bring your new tackle in. I didn't rate Wallace when we brought him in, but, he became a Patriots player, so he got my support, but I think we've got there's so many holes. You can't plug them all at once, so it's just plugging the biggest hole you can at the time. But I think the O-line has potential in certain places, but it also has huge holes. Left tackle, left guard both need investment. I don't think Ben Brown. Yes, he's thing, but can he be first choice? Because I expect David Andrews to retire at the end of the year. So can Ben Brown be first choice? Maybe, yeah. So we might need a new backup center in the draft. So there's a lot of holes across the whole of the front line.
Yeah, and I think looking at the line at the moment, like how many of these guys are going to be on the starting line next year? Potentially one. So it's just about trying to plug the gaps for this season to get to the off season. And as Nick said, if we can get a Ronnie Stanley or Jedrick Wills or Garrett Bowles on one side, or maybe bookend a couple of them and invest in the interior, then yeah, Onwenu's probably the only guy that's going to continue to start next season. So it's just about navigating this season for now, and we're getting by at the minute. But I still think that right side is a bit of a problem. But just going back to what you said about David Andrews, I'm still not 100% convinced as well that he is going to retire. Everything he's saying is that he wants to come back, but I guess it will depend on whether his body lets him.
I'll take that bet.
Yeah. I don't think he wants to go out in the way that it has this season, like knowing the warrior that he is and what he's done. There's no way he's going to want to go out on his own terms.
Yeah, agreed. The battle between the number one corner and the number one receiver and the number two corner and number two receiver was on our minds as well. Christian Gonzalez was obviously shadowing Devontae Adams, as you would expect so. Marcus Jones was covering Garrett Wilson.
Attempting to.
The word attempting to is putting it very mildly, Kieran. You're spot on there, sir. 113 yards, I think, Marcus Jones gave up to Garrett Wilson, which is not great. But on the other side, Devontae Adams got nothing because Christian Gonzalez was like Teflon. 0 catches, 0 receptions, 0 targets. All because, I know, he got three targets, I think it was.
No, he had four for 54.
What? Adams
had 4 catches.
Not against Gonzo. Not against Gonzo. He got nothing against Gonzo.
I think he got that 16-yarder right at the end that technically counts against Gonzo, but it was the last play of the game.
Oh, 16. All right, so it's garbage time.
Yeah, so it doesn't really mean anything. But
it doesn't mean anything. So Gonzo literally shut probably one of the best receivers in the NFL down.
I think Garrett Wilson played really well. I think he came out of his shell a bit more in this game, which I don't think they've relied on him too much to do, but I don't think they've targeted him enough as well, because I think he's a really good wide receiver, but I just don't think he just trusts him enough to it.
He's an excellent receiver. He's just on a shit team.
I actually thought Marcus Jones didn't do that poorly. I think there was a couple of reps that Garrett Wilson just beat him, But I think there was a lot of just the size mismatch and a really nice throw from Rodgers and a really nice catch from Wilson. And I don't actually think Marcus Jones was in poor coverage most of the time. I just don't think it was a particularly wonderful matchup idea on our part because the size difference was just evident throughout.
That's something we definitely need to look at. I said that in the chat on Sunday. You've got Gonzo on the outside who's got good size and length, and you've got Frodo, Sam, Pippin, and Merry, like literally at the other corner positions. Like there's just no height in this secondary other than Gonzo. Like it is a big concern because I would look at that if I was an offensive coordinator and go, well, Marcus Jones is playing on the outside at 5'8". I'm just going to stick a big receiver on him. Like, and he's just not going to be able to compete with that. So I want to see more size at corner. It's going to be a position we're going to address, obviously, but yeah, it is a concern.
Really early?
I think, definitely.
No,
as in draft someone.
Yeah, we need to draft a corner, but we don't want to. Yes, I expect a corner to go first, whether it be Hunter or whether it be Johnson, or Morrison. That cornerback has such depth. You could quite easily wait to the third and get someone like Muhammad, who at Oregon, who's absolutely, keeping everybody quiet.
If you're in top three in one of those 340, what do you do?
Tackle.
The three you just mentioned now, Hunter.
Right. Yeah, but if you're offering me, I think we need to move back. So if you were offering me the chance to have Johnson, Hunter, or Morrison, I assume Hunter will want to play wide receiver. So I don't expect him to want to play corner anyway. But Johnson and Morrison cannot do it all. We have got so many holes. We need to go backwards.
Yeah.
The thing that worries me about Travis Hunter is he still wants to play two ways in the NFL. I just don't think a team is going to allow him to do that.
It's not going to happen.
And what happens if we do take him, expecting him to be a receiver, and he goes, "No, I'm playing corner," and then you kind of think, "Well, do we need to take a corner that high?" So I'm a bit up in the air about Travis Hunter, but there's going to be corners to add in free agency, like that we can go after. But we just need some size. Like it's all okay. Like in the slot, it's not too bad. John Jones is an excellent slot if he's still here next year. But and Marcus Jones can play as that fourth nickel guy. But we need some bigger corners.
Yeah. Time will tell. Any more talking points on this game, guys? Because I feel like we've covered most of it. Looks like Drake Maye finally got his coaching nous back by the looks of it.
First home win.
It is. It's our first home win
in over a year, isn't it?
Well over a year. So they sent the fans home happy, which is kind of what we've been needing for. One last thing as well with Garo Butte. Yes, he caught the two receivers, caught the two receptions that got us in scoring ranges on both of those attempts, right? But the one thing I don't think we haven't brought up was during that 62-yard punt return by Marcus Jones, he was the primary blocker that helped Marcus Jones get the return further down the field. I think this guy is a bit like a Swiss Army knife. He can do it all. And I know them, and he does come across a little bit arrogant, but he wants to play ball. He just wants the ball all the time. So just give him the ball is all I can say. He's probably our most reliable one we've got. Apart from
he also had the block for Stevenson's first touchdown as well. Had the lead block on that.
Thank you. Yeah, he did.
I want to actually shout out to the defensive line as well, because Devon Godshaw is literally holding that together by a thread at the moment. Daniel Equale didn't make this game, and we said last week we're rolling out guys like Johnson and Jaquelin Roy,
Christian Ellis.
Yeah, and Christian Ellis is obviously playing at linebacker and doing pretty well. But I was listening to Doug Kyde's podcast earlier today, and if you'd looked at the pre-season predicted lineup on defense for the Patriots, we're down 6 of the 11 predicted starters. So we are, like I said, we are rolling guys out there that should be 3rd and 4th stringers. And to be fair, Christian Ellis, I think has been excellent. I know he had the PI call in this game, but I think he's done really well. And these defensive line guys who being really tested for their depth at the moment. They held up against the Jets in this game. I know it was 3.9 yards per carry, but against Breece Hall and Braylon Allen's not too bad, I guess.
We didn't stop the run. We just didn't get completely ran over, if that makes sense.
The one concern is the pass rush, isn't it? We're not really getting any pressure on anyone.
Well, now we've traded Josh Uche, which is a good segment for DJ to throw into. Atwood 640. What do you guys think of the Uche trade? There's 3 parts for me to this, and that is he's in a contract year, so you're not going to get a lot for him. His last best production was in 2022 when he had 10.5 sacks. He's been injury prone as well, so I was disappointed because when we drafted him, because obviously I'm a Michigan Wolverine fan, when I saw we drafted him, I was like, he's going to be absolutely amazing. He's turned out to be meh at best. A 6th round pick. I don't see you can't get any more than that. A 5th maybe if the right pursuiter came along, but I don't think you're going to get a lot for him. I don't think you're going to get a lot for our players that we want to trade. From all due honesty, it will be on the backside of the draft in 2025 or 2026, in my personal opinion. So I think we just have to take what we got given there. Joe,
I know Kieran's a big PFF guy, so he probably knows about obviously the Josh Uche bits already. But Josh Uche, apart from pass rush, and that's again mainly when he's been with Matthew Judon, is not a good player at the NFL level. If you look at his stats, I think he ranks in
watch him ball out in this Chiefs team though.
Nah,
but again, he can't open field tackle. His open field tackling is shocking. He's useless against the run. That's
Belichick was on
a.
Belichick
I reckon he wanted to leave
yesterday. Belichick was on a pod yesterday, and he said that had the Patriots kept him and let him go at the end of the season and just not signed him, then providing they didn't replace him in free agency, his compensation would have been a 6th anyway. So you could have had him all season and still got a 6th in compensation. Now, all right, that 6th compensation pick would have been lower than the Kansas City 6th round pick anyway. But nevertheless, I really do think probably we should have got a 5 for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He might be our former coach. This is also coming from the guy who traded Pro Bowler Shaq Mason for a 5th round pick, but I digress.
Well, I'm not saying the guy's perfect, but there's a lot of players who we can put on the trade block. I wouldn't be surprised if over this next week, quite a few others follow him out the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked if Kendrick Bourne is still a Patriot in the next couple of weeks. I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll be back as a 49er.
They need receiver help.
For me, with Uche, clearly there's a level of talent there, but he's had probably one good year, and I think you hit the nail on the head earlier on, Joe, with Matt Judon made him look better than probably what he is. Because Judon was taking the majority of the attention when it comes to pass rush, but Josh Uche is an undersized pass rusher that can't defend the run. He's a situational pass rusher who probably doesn't suit being on a team that's normally losing. Now, if you're a team that's ahead and you want to get pressure on the quarterback and you want to send a lot of blitzes, a lot of pressure and true pass rush sets for a team that's ahead, then he's probably going to suit playing for the Chiefs. But for us, his playing time was diminishing. He signed, what was it, a 1 year, $2.5 million contract? Was it something like that?
I think
at the start of the season. Million. So, it was like a basement level deal. He said that he took less money to stay here. So realistically, I don't think we were going to get much more than what we got for him. And he's not even really played the last couple of weeks. So we've just decided to move him on. It's a good move for him. He should see the field a bit more often in Kansas City where he can play to his strengths. But I don't think it's a player we should be losing sleep over him being traded because outside of 2022, he's been a very streaky player, and he has his deficiencies, and he's probably just a bespoke player for a certain role. Really, like I much prefer to have Anthony Jennings on the team than him.
Yeah, I think his mindset was probably he's already left, or he's got his leg was already out the door, or 1 foot out the door. So it was probably shop around to see what can go for what, and then that's it.
I think I remember rightly reading somewhere this morning that I don't think we would have got a compensatory pick for Uche. I can't remember why. It's really bugging me, but we wouldn't have ended up getting anything for him, so he would have left for nothing. So
this year, or if you've gone last year,
at the end of his contract in the year, we wouldn't have got a compensatory pick for him, I think, because it was a 1 year contract, something like that. So we actually got something for him, which, you know,
fair enough.
Better than that.
Move on.
Titans this coming Sunday, a team that is in complete and utter disarray. They have Mason Rudolph, who is okay at best. Then you've got Will Levis, who
is he injured?
He puts mayonnaise in his coffee. You don't need to know anything more about that guy.
I think he's injured. I don't know who's going to start.
It's going to be Mason Rudolph then by that thing. The lines open up as the Titans as -3.5 favorites as it currently stands. If that, I'm assuming Vegas is saying that's if Jacoby Brissett starts. Yeah. If May gets out of concussion protocol, there's a good chance that line could get even shorter.
I think the good thing about I think the thing is with May as well. And correct me if I'm wrong. I don't believe through his college career he had any concussions or was in any concussion protocol. That's not something he has a history of.
I think it's a minor thing.
So I mean, it should have definitely been flagged on Sunday. I didn't think it was the most vicious hit I've ever seen in the world.
No,
but it's still helmet. It's still helmet. It's still helmet to helmet. I think the reason why they didn't throw the flag is because Drake Maye gave himself up. Might be a little bit too late, but he did give himself up. And
I'm going to say that if that was on us, and one of our defenders had got flagged for it, I'd have thought it'd have been very harsh.
Yeah, I'm with Joe. I don't really
think there's a great deal in it.
Probably flag worthy. I think he gave himself up too late, and I think the idea of if that had been in the pocket, I think he probably gets a flag. But I think because he's become a runner, like if you see a running back getting hit like that, they're not getting flagged. So I don't think. I think it's probably the right choice. He just needs to get down earlier. He'd done all the good work, but yeah, I think it's very likely he won't play. I don't think we'll see him on Sunday.
I think the thing is now, especially after Tua with his concussion again this year, the NFL are just going to be so shit hot on it, even more so than normal.
I think if you look at the numbers based on players who've entered the concussion protocol on a Sunday, I think it's like 90-something% of them haven't then played on the following Sunday. So the chances of them playing are pretty low.
Yeah,
even Mayo.
And I think it was the NFL that actually pulled Drake Maye out. I don't think it was the Jets or the Pats that pulled him out. I think it was the NFL said, you've just been on ahead, off you go, get off the field.
But he played like the rest of the drive after it happened. And then there was a late getting him into the protocol. And then supposedly he said in the locker room at halftime, I want to go back out there, I'm fine. So yes, okay, as JD said, the percentage of players clearing the protocol in a week is very low. But maybe if it's a minor concussion and he's feeling good, maybe he may come through the protocol. I think we're not going to know. We're not going to know enough until tomorrow because the players are off on Tuesdays. They'll be back on practice tomorrow. I imagine we'll get an update of some kind. I say it's very much up in the air. I think if he does play Sunday, we're going to slap the Titans silly. If he doesn't play, I would think this is going to be one of the worst games of the season.
I would go as far as saying if he doesn't play, and this again, nothing against Jacoby, who's against putting Joe Milton out there?
Me.
Ooh.
Everyone.
I don't want to see that.
Nice.
Unless it's for a Hail Mary at the end.
Unless it's for a Jaden Daniels style Hail Mary, then no.
That was mental.
That was a mental play. It should have been actually called for holding, but the NFL doesn't like that sort of discretion anyway. JD, the Tennessee Titans are in a rather bit of a mess right now, but their running game is still pretty good. They've still got Tony Pollard, they've got Tajee Spears. We can't stop the run to save our life. That's going to be an issue that we've got to try and surely that's something in training this week. We've got to find a way of plugging this run up.
Yeah, I think they are a relatively good running team. They're certainly more successful than they are passing. But I think a lot of that has been down to Will Levis's just absolute weekly brain fart that he has. But Mason, he's also kind of turned Mason Rudolph, the like famously conservative QB, into a bit of a maniac as well, who does some wild stuff. So I think, like Kieran said, we're not going to see high quality football, but we might see some insane stuff going on, which would be fun. And if anybody hasn't watched the Lions and Titans game from Sunday, please just treat yourself and watch that game, because that is one of the funniest games I've ever seen in my life. Just a huge statistical anomaly. I think at one point the Lions have 42 points and 28 passing yards. Like, it's just nonsense. There's the whole game. The Titans special teams is a joke. Their defense was just spent all day in the red zone, bless them. It's a very, very odd game. I don't know how much we can glean from that, but I think
Hopkins is gone now.
Is that right?
Hopkins has gone, got traded.
Hopkins, he's gone as well. So I think that's another threat we have to worry about. It sort of unlocked Calvin Ridley a little bit, so I think it'll be interesting, which hopefully Gonzo can keep him quiet. But beyond that, I don't think they possess too much of an offensive threat.
They got Okonkwo at tight end, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
There's
nothing to fear on that offense.
No,
apart from that, so poor that Okonkwo might become like a Gronk level player. If we allow Jelani Tavai to drop in coverage much, I think, which thankfully we didn't this week. Hopefully there shouldn't be too much if Gonzo can take care of Ridley for us to worry about. To go and make sure we defend the run better, especially the outside run. We were generally okay inside this week, but outside run was terrible again.
I'd imagine Tony Pollard's going to touch the ball a lot this game, because I think Tajee Spears has missed the last couple of games. We have a deficiency against the run. I think they're going to try and run it on us. I think it's funny. I was kind of pre-looking ahead to this podcast before the game against the Lions, thinking, well, their defense is okay. Like, they've got some pieces there, and then they literally laid an egg against the Detroit Lions. I thought, you know what? I'm going to retract that. I think if Drake Maye plays, I think we can easily beat these.
Do you know what? I watched the game in 40, and I actually don't think their defense played that badly. For a team that gave up 50, their defense actually didn't play that poorly. It's just that every time they walked onto the field, they were inside their own 20 or 30-yard line. It was just absolute. I mean, I know they can stop them scoring touchdowns, they can limit them to field goals, but it was crazy. Like, it was that. I've never seen a team put their defense in such a horrific spot at every opportunity. It was an insane game. Like I say, I urge everyone to go watch it.
And when you look at that defense and you see the likes of Snead, Landry, even like Tavondre Sweat's been good as a rookie, Jeffrey Simmons, like, they've got some pieces on that team that are pretty good. Like, they've been, over the course of the season, they've not been a terrible defense, but then they just got absolutely lit up. Or maybe that's just because the Lions are very good and could win the Super Bowl this year. But like, that's what makes me think, if they get a response on defense this week and Jacoby's playing, this could be a very low scoring game. But I just hope that Drake's okay first and foremost, and that he can get in this game, because I think this presents us with a real opportunity to win this game if Drake Maye plays.
Okay, let's go around the horn then. Let's make a prediction so we get him out of there. JD, we'll start with you. What's your prediction?
I'm gonna skew positive and remain hopeful. If Drake Maye plays, I think we could be looking at a win by a couple of touchdowns. But I think in the likelihood, I think Jacoby will end up playing, and then I'm gonna say that will be a 16-12 win.
Joe,
I'm gonna go Patriots 23, Tennessee Titans 9.
Tennessee only put 9 points on us. Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. DJ.
I'm going to go Patriots 28-13.
Okay. Kieran?
Patriots 20, Titans 16.
Nick?
Almost what Kieran's got, 2017.
I'm going with the same as you, Nick. I was going to say 2017 as well. I just feel like this is going to come down to a field goal. It's going to come down to either Joey Sly's going to come down to Nick Folk. And yeah. But if Drake Maye plays, we'll slap him. If it's Brissett that's playing, prepare to drink your beer at a continuous rate because it might get nervy in the fourth quarter. But
I'll be in Amsterdam trying to find somewhere to watch it. So,
Carl, I think if we end up losing to a Nick Folk field goal, you've got to call the podcast next week for Folk's sake.
Kieran, don't put it out there, please. Take that away from the universe.
Please,
Yeah,
I know a Tennessee YouTuber already, and I know he's watching this, and he will literally have a field day on us if we're not careful. Anyway, so that's our predictions. Looks like we've all gone for a Patriots win just about by the skin of our teeth. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Do you think we're going to come away with a victory? And also, one last thing we'll get out of it, guys. The schedule does get a little bit easy for us towards our bye week. So we've got Tennessee this time. We're then I think we're at Miami.
Bears.
And
No,
the
I think we've got Bears.
Sorry, at the Bears.
Then Miami. Then
Hold on,
Miami.
I've got the schedule here in front of me.
I think it was something. No, I think it was something like it was at Tennessee, at Chicago. Then it's home to the Rams, at Miami, and then
So we're at Tennessee, then
Yep.
at the Bears,
Mm-hmm.
then we are the Rams in New England, at the Dolphins,
And then at the Colts.
Fine.
and
Oh, the home of the Colts.
then Colts at the Patriots. Then we're on to the bye week. Yeah,
And then the rest of the schedule just gets nasty from that point forward.
yeah. Then we got to go to Arizona. We've got to play the Bills twice.
We've got to play Washington
We've got to play Washington as well. Yeah.
and the Chargers. So our remaining schedule, just up to the bye, because this is now the easiest part that we're going to get with. Do you reckon we are? I'm not going to say we're going to run the table and say where's a chance of us making the playoffs, because that's never, ever, ever going to happen. But is there a chance of us after this Tennessee game, if we do end up winning, is there a chance by the bye week we'll get to 5 wins?
No.
I think that's tight. I think 4 potentially, but I don't know if we'll get to 5.
I don't think we beat the Bears.
Yeah, I don't think we will either. Not in Chicago.
I don't think we beat the Bears. I don't think
Or
the
Rams.
Dolphins. I don't think we beat the Dolphins.
Dolphins.
But that's in Miami.
Yeah.
I think the Rams are getting healthy now and look a lot better. I think the Bears' defensive front is a scary mismatch for our O-line.
Yeah. The Colts, I think we've got a chance against the Colts.
Yeah.
No,
I'd probably go
line now.
Not if Joe
2
Flacco.
more wins. I think 2 more
Yeah.
wins. I've got Titans and someone else. Either that being Colts or even one of the Bills when the Bills already don't need to play it.
I kind of hope Anthony Richardson's back for when we play the Colts, though, because I just want to watch a full game of Anthony Richardson just doing insane stuff. That guy is so much fun to watch. It's just a car crash.
I think we can beat Arizona, but they're such a weird team. Like one week
That's
they'll just look terrible. They'll look terrible one week, but then like against Miami, they were really good the other day. Like I can't work them out. They seem to be the most inconsistent team in the league, but I can quite easily see us going there and winning.
I think they're the perfect personification of their QB. Like if Kyler Murray on his day is arguably one of the best QBs in the entire league, he just doesn't do it consistently enough.
Too busy playing the new Call of Duty, hopefully.
Yeah, well, Call of Duty didn't it come out a couple of days ago, so he's probably going to be terrible from now on. So
get on an Arizona loss this weekend then.
There you go.
Okay, we're going to go on now, guys. Thank you to Nick, DJ, Kieran, JD, and Joe. We've had for the first time in a long while, we've actually had the full squad with us, so it's good to have everyone back on. Please make sure you smash the like button on your way out. You hit the subscribe button while you're at it. Tell all your friends. Follow us on all our social media platforms and follow us on the podcast on the Sports Social Network as well. We will be back same time, same day next week for another edition of the Patriots Subtract podcast. We will be reviewing the Tennessee Titans game.
Transfer deadline day as well.
And it is also
transfer deadline day.
It is. It's transfer deadline day. We'll find out if we've made any trades, whether they've come to or gone from us. We will find out. So yeah, make sure you tune us live 9 p.m. UK time, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. We are off on out of here, and it's great to finally get a win under our belt. Peace out, people. Good night, and
fuck New York.